DK Metcalf has demanded a trade from the Seattle Seahawks. I've been seeing a ton of Ravens fans say that this is the perfect guy to go get. But did you see that asking price? I feel like this is a much different situation than a Devontae Adams, let's say, just because he's a free agent. DK you have to go trade for. And the Seattle Seahawks are asking for a first-round pick and a third-round pick. And DK is demanding $30+ million per year on a new contract. To me, that makes this situation very different. And I also would be on board to go get a DK Metcalf. Just the idea of DK Metcalf in this Ravens offense does excite me. And the fact that he's younger and could sign an extension and be here for the next 4 or 5 years is also exciting. But there is no way the Ravens are trading a first and third round pick or even anything close to that, even just a first round pick. There's no way you give up your first round pick for DK Metcalf and then also have to commit $30+ million per season. The Ravens have zero cap room. And at this point today, I'm shocked to even say this, but they haven't even made a move. I feel like there's a move that's already been made behind the scenes or something that's just not out there to the news outlets. Like Lamar did a restructure and we actually have cleared cap room, but nobody's talking about it or something. I mean, it seems weird that we haven't cleared any cap room. Free agency is only days away now. We haven't signed Ronnie Stanley. We'll talk about Ronnie Stanley. He's got some other suitors right now that may be hanging some things up. We'll talk about that in the next segment. But DK Metcalf does make a lot of sense in Baltimore. I just could never see them giving up this much, and I don't want them to give up this much. I would not give up a first-round pick because you got to pay him top receiver money after that. There's no way you're fitting that under the cap. There's no way that even makes sense. As much as I would love DK Metcalf in a Ravens uniform, I'm not giving up that much. Now, if he was a free agent and we just had to sign him like a Devontae Adams situation, then I'd be way more interested. I'd be like, all right, let's find a way to make this money work and let's try to bring DK on. But giving up top draft picks and having to pay him all that money, which would absorb all of our cap and then some, I just can never see that happening. I really don't think that's the smart move. I think there's a ton of free agents out there. This is a very deep free agent class of wide receivers, and I don't think that it's smart to go and trade for one, especially giving up a ton. Now, this is just the Seahawks asking price. It doesn't mean that that's what they're going to get on the market for DK, but regardless, it's not cheap. It's a very expensive investment from a cap standpoint and also from a draft capital standpoint, and I just don't see the Ravens parting with their early picks. I don't think that they should for DK Metcalf, even though I do want DK on this team. I just don't see a way that makes sense unless he's a free agent somehow, and the Seahawks aren't going to do that. So the free agent wide receivers are, in my opinion, a lot more of a target than someone that we'd have to go trade for, unless it's like a Cooper Kupp type trade where you don't have to give up a ton. But a DK Metcalf, right now, the rumored asking price is a first and third round pick. That's just in the stratosphere, man. That's a hang up the phone type of discussion. I don't even think that you can get close to anything like that. It just doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't we pivot towards the free agents who we don't have to give up any draft capital to go get? You got Devontae Adams there. You got Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs, Chris Godwin, DeAndre Hopkins. There's so many options in free agency. I just would be shocked if we went after a DK Metcalf via trade. And like I spoke on earlier, we still have to clear cap room. I mean, right now, we only have $12 million approximately. I don't know why we haven't restructured a Roquan or gave Lamar an extension or restructured Lamar's contract or gave Marlon Humphrey an extension or Derrick Henry an extension. I mean, nothing has been done, at least that we know of. You know, as I'm recording this video right now, there has been zero moves by the Ravens. So it is surprising. You know, we've been talking about how we think Ronnie Stanley is going to get re-signed. I honestly didn't think Ronnie Stanley was going to get re-signed until Eric DeCosta spoke at the Combine. I've been making videos and saying that we're probably moving on from Ronnie and we can move Roger over to left tackle. But the way Eric DeCosta spoke at the Combine, it was like, oh, this is a surefire thing pretty much. He's like, I don't want to say 100%, but I'm very optimistic that we get a deal done with Ronnie. I'm meeting with his agent this week at the Combine. Well, the Combines came and went, and now this week is almost came and went. They usually don't work too much on the weekends, so we got today and tomorrow, and then free agencies next week. And there are rumors flying around that the Patriots are heavy suitors for Ronnie Stanley, and the Chiefs are heavy suitors for Ronnie Stanley after just trading Joe Thuney, their guard, to the Bears. They are rumored to be all in for Ronnie. So the closer we get to Ronnie not having a deal with the Ravens, the higher and higher the chances are that he's gone. I mean, you can't let him hit free agency and expect him to take a bargain deal with the Ravens. This deal had to get done before free agency. There's still time, obviously. We got all day today. It could happen today. It could happen tomorrow. But if he hits free agency next week, I would say there's a very high chance that he is not coming back to Baltimore because they've had time to work out that deal. I'm sure the Ravens have offered a deal, but it's probably low, and Ronnie and his agent might want to go see what the market has to offer, and I think the market will have more to offer than the Ravens do. So we'll see how it plays out. Like I said, there's still 2 more days here. You know, the Ravens have a little bit of time to get a deal done, and the closer we get there, the more pressure that kind of gets put on that. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's kind of a buzzer beater deal. I do think that they want to bring back Ronnie, but they're also not going to overpay to do it. And this is what we talked about before. Ronnie's not worth a $20+ million commitment. And I want to build up the trenches as much as anybody, man. I'm all in to stack this offensive line. I think that's the most important thing we have to do this offseason. But we got to be smart about it too. You don't want to commit to an older player who's only getting worse, to be honest with you, and has had a ton of injuries. And I'm not hating on Ronnie. I love Ronnie. I still think that he's got another great year or two if he can stay healthy. But there's so much risk paying a guy like that who's only had 1 healthy season out of the last 5, and he's 31. There's a lot of risk paying a guy like that $20+ million. You know, there are other options. There's other ways to go. But if we can get Ronnie on a lower deal before he hits free agency and maybe have some non-guaranteed years later in that contract so we can get out of it if he did get hurt or anything like that, then I'm all for it, man. I'm definitely all for bringing Ronnie back. I think that does help us right now and probably next year, but it's not really a long-term move, and it's a risky investment. That's all I've been saying. So we'll see. We'll see, man. I think I was a lot more optimistic last week that we were going to sign Ronnie, and that was only because Eric DeCosta was talking so highly of it. John Harbaugh said he expects Ronnie back, but there's still no deal. So until there's a deal, my confidence is going down that we're bringing Ronnie back because we're about to start free agency in a few days, and he's going to hit the open market and definitely get a higher deal than we've probably offered already. Moving on to some other Ravens news, Todd Monken was on the Ravens Lounge podcast today and spoke on version 3.0 of this offense and spoke very highly of Lamar Jackson and how he's just now scratching the surface of who he's about to become as a player. Take a listen.
We played New Orleans when I called it in Tampa my last year there in 18. Dirk Cutter was calling it first years. We played New Orleans the first game, and we beat them pretty good. But Ryan Fitzpatrick probably changed like 8 to 10 of the plays. And some good, some bad. And at the end of the game, I'm like, can we just run what I call? Like, for God's sakes, you know? So there's give and take. And the quarterback has to take onus of that and want that, because the moment that they change a play, they're now on the hook.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you're saying
some guys like that and some guys don't.
Yeah.
Like if I change a route concept, or if I change a run, or if I change anything of what we've done to protection, I've now become part of the play caller, and I have to live with the decision I made, if that makes sense. And not everybody wants that. Lamar does want that, and Lamar's gotten more and more comfortable with that, and he's really good at it. It's just, we just got to continue down that road, and with that, I think he's only going to continue. It's hard to say that. I think he's only still the year that he had, and I still think he's just scratching the surface of where he's headed. And it may not statistically show up that way, but I just know he's only scratched the surface in terms of, you know, not as an athlete, not smart, not the things. It's just he's a much, much better from when I got here, not only his diligence, but the coaches throwing the football, progressing, all those things that he always knew he was capable of. But now he always thought that way, but now it's really starting to come around, if that makes sense, and we try to do whatever we can to help facilitate that.
It's crazy to think that the evolution of the Ravens 3.0 offense is to put more on Lamar, but I get what he's saying. He's saying that Lamar is getting better and better and better and is able to take more and more control year after year, and that this is Lamar's offense as much as it is Todd Monken's offense. Lamar's input is great and wanted, and he's just scratching the surface as a player, which is insane, man. 41 touchdowns, 4 picks last year. And Todd Monken did say in the interview that when he says he's just scratching the surface as a player, he doesn't necessarily mean that his statistics are going to go up year after year, because he just put in one of the greatest quarterback seasons of all time. It's not that he won't beat that or have another season that's better than what he just had, but we can't expect, next year he's got 48 touchdowns and 4 picks, or he's got a better QBR. Like, you can't expect the stats to just go up year after year. He just means that Lamar is getting more accurate. He's getting better at going through his progressions. He's getting better at diagnosing protection at the line of scrimmage. He's getting better at changing the play call, changing routes based on what the defense is giving him. So he is really just scratching the surface. He's 28 years old, and if he keeps taking football as seriously as he's taken it throughout his career, which I don't expect anything less, he's an elite competitor. If he keeps putting in the work year after year, he's going to keep getting better and better. And as his legs eventually slow down a little bit when he's in his 30s, he's always going to be super athletic, but his speed and his, agility will go down a little bit with father time. You can't beat father time. Old age has always, slowed people down, but his arm and his mind are getting so much better year after year that I think that will extend his career to be able to play as long as he wants. I don't think Lamar is going to have a short career because he's a running quarterback. That's not going to happen, and he's proven that that's not going to happen by the successful seasons, especially last year, that he's had through the air. And that was one of the top, that's a top 3 all-time quarterback season that Lamar just had last year. And it sucks that he didn't get an MVP to show for it, but we know what he just did. We know. And he got a first-team All-Pro, so it's not completely unrewarded. But everyone knows the season that Lamar Jackson just had. It was absolutely insane. And I'm glad that Todd Monken's back with Lamar to run this back for the 3rd straight year. That continuity is important. You want to be able to keep building on what you started. You don't want to have to get a new offensive coordinator and kind of restart and learn all new terminology, because now Lamar's thinking a lot again. The whole offense is thinking. Everyone's not quite on the same page, but we're not going to have that issue. This is the 3rd year of this offense. A lot of the guys are going to still be there. This offense is going to have a lot of continuity, a lot of comfortability, a lot of knowledge with each other and chemistry with each other to be able to keep building upon what they've already started. So I do think that they're only scratching the surface, and I think Lamar Jackson is going to get better and better as a player year after year. That doesn't necessarily mean statistically. I do agree with Todd Monken. I'm not expecting Lamar to have, a better and better statistical season. It doesn't really matter as long as he's playing better football, playing great football. You don't need all those stats. But saying all that, I still expect Lamar to go out there and have insane stats. I just don't want to set myself up to think that he has a bad year if he throws for 37 touchdowns and 6 picks compared to what he did last year. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's a worse season, but I'm excited to see this offense evolve again. I think they're going to get off to a much faster start than in years past, because they don't have to get used to having Derrick Henry. They don't have to get used to having a new coordinator. There's a lot of continuity on this offense. Probably add a few new receivers, maybe have a different lineman or two. There's definitely going to be some changes. But for the most part, a lot of the same guys are going to be back. This Ravens offensive core is still intact, and that's obviously led by Lamar Jackson. So I'm expecting another exciting, fun, and successful season from this unit. But let me know what you guys are thinking about everything. Hopefully we get some news today, man. Let's get some extension news, some restructure news, bring Ronnie back, whatever. I just want to see the Ravens make a move. I've been waiting for weeks, it feels like, and I'm shocked. We see so many other teams restructuring, extending, trading, And the Ravens have done absolutely nothing, only days away from free agency. They have to clear cap or we're not signing anybody. So there has to be a move, and I would think it's coming today or tomorrow, but we'll see, man. If there's a move, I'll be back on here talking with you guys. I appreciate you tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The Flock Rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.